China's revival of the economy just got its stamp of death. Contracts are legal binding documents. Well, apparently not in China. Any contract can be invalidated if they violate the socialistic core values or party ideology. Why? Because laws are below the CCP. Meanwhile, Hong Kong held its first citywide district election with a low voter turnout for 27.3%. I guess we're not too far from the CCP's closed-door elections. Guys, is it real democracy if 3/4 of your people don't come to vote? Welcome to China Insider, I'm David Zhang. In a move only brain-dead animals would do, the CCP just stamped its own death of the economy. Yes, I know, I've said this multiple times already. I said their economy is doomed. But this is something else. Let's get this out of the way, right? Contracts are legal binding documents because if something happens, you can go to court and seek legal ruling based on the details of the contract, which of course are signed by mutual agreements among the parties involved. And it provides certainty and enforceability, especially if the business scale is global or transnational. You could say that the idea of a market economy is based on fair trade of supply and contract among parties involved. Because there is a law-binding aspect here, they say that justice is blind, which means the legal system is objective and unbiased. But I guess the Communist Party took the first part too literal and just really made justice blind to the law. Apparently in China now, contracts are not based on law, but based on how they match the socialist core values and CCP ideologies. The party is above the law. Recently, a publication by the Supreme Court in China outlined the interpretation of contracts, and that's in the Chinese Civil Code. In Article 17 here, this is what they say. Quote, normally a contract is legal except for the following. 1, if the contract affects political security, economic security, military security, and other national security. 2, the contract affects social stability, the order of fair competition, or harms public interests, or violates social and public order. And 3, the contract deviates from social morality, family ethics, or damages personal dignity or other good customs. Now, you might be thinking, what exactly are they talking about here? Before we continue, here's a sponsor segment. Now, if you're looking for a holiday gift for your girlfriend, wife, or family member, consider this comfort balancing skincare set from Sohwa Su, Korea's top skincare brand. It's loved by K-pop star Rosé from Blackpink and Song Hye-kyo, actress for the popular drama The Glory. The reason is this product really works to improve hydration, fight off aging, balance oil production, and so much more. I call it the Porsche of skincare. Now, this set is produced in Korea and shipped directly to us. You might be finding many different price points online, but there's no guarantee if those are authentic Sohwa Su. Just ask your loved ones who are into skincare. They will tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Right now, use my code DAVID or click the link below to get 15% off this set and other great products for Blueberry Creative. And if you're in the US, spend $70 or more and you can get free shipping. So don't waste any more time looking for the perfect holiday gift. This is it. All right, back to our video. Well, basically any contract from rental lease agreements to bank loan financing contracts to corporate level business deals can be invalidated if they do not align with socialist values and in the sense of security. So that means Xi Jinping's attempt to revive the economy by relaxing market restrictions and inviting foreign businesses back is not going to work because the CCP just violated the most fundamental idea of a market economy. Basically, all form of legal binding documents are subject to the CCP's discretion. Hearing these words, you can immediately think about this. According to the law, any business or contractual relationship can be invalidated if it is categorized as affecting national security or offending the Chinese Communist Party. Now, the application can be so broad, right? And so dangerous. Because in China, anything offensive to the CCP can be deemed affecting social stability or so-called harming the public interest. In fact, to many aspects of our lives, a contract is supposed to be both the safety measure against law violations and, of course, lawsuits, but also it's a part of the transactions. For example, right, a contract can give you the protection to employment, or it doesn't let the bank charge you more interest than what's determined on certain accounts, or it lets you rent an apartment for a year or two without getting kicked out. For companies, a contract is worth millions of dollars, billions of dollars. But apparently in China, all it takes is a party official's interpretation, aka the Supreme Court judges, yes, they are communist officials too, to give you a ruling. And that ruling will always come from the direction of the CCP, not the interpretation of the Constitution. And just for your information, right, the Chinese Supreme Court is not the highest legal body of the country. It is, in fact, only a branch of the judicial and legal system of the Chinese Communist Party. And that's controlled under the CCP's Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission. So these Supreme Court judges are not like the US SCOTUS judges who actually get to interpret the Constitution and come to a consensus. And they actually have real authority to rule on legal cases. The CCP judges, on the other hand, they're simply employees of the party, and they follow not the law, but the party. So what exactly constitutes as security in the CCP? Well, for example, say you have $1 million deal with a foreign company, and if the CCP deems that you're violating national security somehow, they will be able to invalidate said contract and stop further connections that you have. It could be one day, the CCP wants to take Tesla's Gigafactory in Shanghai. They don't have to do much other than give a rubber stamp ruling to seize all the assets because of this law. How about if you have a dispute with work and say you were wrongfully terminated? Well, good luck trying to seek a lawsuit in China. If that company has political backing, chances are you will be ruled to have violated the civil code. Or how about if you're a home buyer in China and you happen to have a contract with the developers who are unable to finish your home? Well, good luck protesting because you will be viewed as violating public interest or promoting disturbance in society. And now you will be ruled to have no further legal rights to receive said home, but you won't get your money back. Although I think this new direction is more targeting large corporations that deal with foreign business or a large amounts of money involved in the contract, it can also be applied to individuals. Now, if you're a foreign company from the United States or Europe, or you're an investor, right, and you hear this, will you still invest in China? One day you could be facing a national security complaint, and next thing you know, the contract that you signed to get certain return on investment is now in limbo. And you're no longer allowed to trade in China. So to us, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. How could laws be malleable to the extent for a country as big as China? Well, to tell you the truth, the CCP has never been one to follow laws to begin with. They're wild thugs that happen to have dressed up in suits. So it's the nature of the regime to be outlaws. What's happening recently in South China Sea, where Chinese Coast Guard vessels used water guns to attack Filipino vessels, it's a clear demonstration of violating international law. And yet the CCP's goons disregarded the rule of law to continue their aggression. The incident of militarizing islands in the South China Sea, despite rulings from international courts to uphold sovereignty issues for countries other than China. So the so-called 9-dash lines, the illegal claims, they just don't care. And that's just one of the two aspects here. The CCP has both ignored laws and also weaponized laws, something called legal warfare or lawfare. Now you might be wondering, why bother making laws anyways if you're in China and you're only catering to the controlling the regular groups of people, right? Well, you're exactly right. The laws don't equally apply in China. They're up to interpretation based on the position of the party. But the CCP has two reasons of making laws. The first, of course, is to govern the people, so to stop them from attempting to protest, speak out, or start an uprising. And the second is to make offensive laws that help to push the boundaries. And a prime example of this is the Hong Kong National Security Law, which was enacted following the massive protest in 2019. Another example is the counter-espionage law, which is, of course, used to target foreign firms suspected of spying, as well as individuals who are Chinese that may be conspiring to work for foreign intelligence. Now, the idea here for lawfare is super simple. You try to exploit all the loopholes that these laws have, and then enact reactionary laws to justify the legal stance. But as we've all learned today, it's quite ironic considering the CCP wants to control contracts, one of the most fundamental idea in market economy, and make them align with socialist values. Of course, all this has largely backfired. The recent tension with the Philippines has demonstrated that China's aggressiveness, which is built on their so-called justification of the law, it pisses many people off and many countries. And with Hong Kong, which we've seen is fallen to the national security law. And they recently just held an election for its general district council seats, which is like city council basically. Compared to 2019, which had a 71% voter turnout, this 2023 election in December had a 27.5% voter turnout. So that's a 43.5% drop in the number of participation of voters. It's obvious that people in Hong Kong, they've lost confidence in the city. And it's been fully controlled by the Beijing government for a while. It's also ironic considering Beijing authorities are claiming that this is the first patriot-only election. And they're showing a, quote, real functioning democracy. What the Hong Kong CCP authorities doesn't say is the fact that under the new election rules, the number of directly elected representatives for the city's 18 districts, they've been reduced from almost all of them to only 88 seats, or about 20% of the total, which is 470 seats. So only 88 seats remain. The remaining seats, right, they're appointed by the Hong Kong's chief executive, who is Zhang, who of course is handpicked by Beijing, and then, or they're selected by an electoral college, which again is appointed by the government. So in other words, 88 seats are the only seats that's available for people to go out and vote for. That's technically made up of voters' choice, right? But who knows if these elections are even real anymore? I don't know about you, but when was the last time a less than half voter turnout is considered a democratic process? Or the fact that only 20% of the entire election is allowed to be voted on? Well, according to the CCP, there's like 11 forms of democracy in China. Again, they're twisting the definition with laws, with what's considered democracy. And of course, in its simplest form, democracy is majority rules. And so China, using that logic, they're basically saying that because all Chinese people are forced to choose the Chinese Communist Party, that must mean that we're democratically a majority party in China, and we're chosen by the people. What they don't tell you is that there isn't any real elections in China where 1 billion plus people get to go out and go to the voting booth and actually choose the candidate of choice. What they don't tell us, again, is that they're using these lawful definitions to wrongfully explain the totalitarian government as democratic. Hong Kong, of course, is no longer a free and independent system. It's a part of China's CCP totalitarian system. So this is typical. The CCP playbook, which co-opts laws, make offensive laws to justify its existing regime. Now, before 2019, Hong Kong lawmakers thought that it's okay to give the pro-Beijing side an inch. But then the Beijing side took miles from it. So when the idea of the national security law was enacted, started to get talked about, which was back in the 2010s, 2014, that drew a massive protest, but it was already too late. By the time it was passed in 2019 to 2020, we saw the massive protest, but that was already the end. So never give an inch of your freedom to the communists. All right, that's it today for the episode on how China is marking its end to the economy by reinterpreting what contracts mean to China and something along those with lawfare. So if you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. All right, until next time, bye-bye.